Hi, thank you. So this is Pip. She is a 7-year-old American Pit Bull Terrier. She has been in the shelter for over a year. She pulls hard. For 7 years old, I can tell you she still has a lot of pep in her step. She loves to go for walks. She's kind of a puller, but, short, fast-paced walks are wonderful. She loves people, absolutely loves people, loves belly rubs. That's what relaxes her, is the belly rubs. She's a staff favorite. She would do better as being the only dog in the home. We have had people with other dogs that, if she was going to meet another dog in the home, she needs to do that at the shelter just to make sure that it's just like a love connection, a really good love connection before she could go home with another dog. Older children are better also. No stairs. She really prefers no stairs. She did come up the stairs today here really well, but she prefers a little more level ground. So, her good walks and hiking should be just like on a sidewalk or level hiking trails or something like that. She does have a couple of things going on with her. We had surgery on her eye for an atropia issue, and that has been repaired. She will need eye drops for dry eye for the rest of her life. We removed a cancerous mass. She's had a cruciate ligament injury, and we've been able to control that, and she's doing fine with just limited exercise, not a lot of rough playing or no jogging, things like that, and she's just doing fine. If anybody was interested in her, she's at the San Luis Rey location. That's 2905 San Luis Rey Road here in Oceanside. She will be going back to her foster mom when they come back from vacation, but she'll still be available for adoption and foster. That's our Pip. We call her a pitoponymous, lovingly. So that's about Pip. I did want to mention this is National Dog Training Month, and the San Diego Humane Society does offer training classes, and you can go on our website to find out more about that at sthumane.org. We give 20% off training classes for adopters and 50% off the training classes for our military. She's a good girl. She's a really good girl. She's excited.
Thanks for bringing her along. Careful, she'll pull. Well, thank you. Closed session report. City Attorney.
Thank you. The council met in closed session to discuss item 1 on the closed session agenda involving the status of negotiations with the Oceanside Police Management Association. There's no action under the Brown Act to report on item 1. Item 2, conference of legal counsel on existing litigation in the matter of workers' compensation case William Vothran versus City of Oceanside. Again, the council did discuss that matter, but there's no action to report.
Boy, that dog's a heavy breather. Anyway, the next item is consent calendar, and I need to recuse myself from item 13 because I own property where that area is. And is there any?
So item number 12 has been pulled for discussion by the public.
Okay.
Move approval of balance.
Okay, please vote. Okay, item number 12.
Councilmember Kern, could you please vote? Thank you. Motion approved 4-0, and a recusal, item number 13 for Deputy Mayor Lowry. Item number 12 is adoption of resolution establishing certain traffic controls on Haymar Drive adjacent to Mossy Nissan, including a loading zone and no parking zones between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m. Our two speakers are Shelley Carone and Cindy Rocco.
Good evening, Council. Can you hear me? Yes. Okay. This has gone through the Planning Commission twice and has come before Council twice. It was pulled last time. I believe that it is clear that interfacing with North County Transit District and the City of Carlsbad needs a little bit more work before this project is approved. When Mossy Nissan applied for their conditional use permit in 1998, they were restricted from parking on Haymar Drive, and that was because of South Coast Asphalt Plant trips, daily trips by asphalt trucks and delivery trucks, etc. And when the operation of the mine quit in 2006, Mossy applied for the ability to park on the street, which the City of Oceanside allowed on a temporary basis. They're proposing a loading zone on the south side of Haymar Drive, but the language in the document doesn't state that they could possibly obstruct traffic on the westbound side of Haymar with another truck. They are loading cars and blocking the entire lane when they do that, and they do it several times during the day. The signal at the corner is only 7 seconds. It only allows 2 cars to turn left to get on to College to go to perhaps 78 or down College Avenue. There are 3 times the amount of traffic proposed for the Quarry Creek project than were for the asphalt company. There is a bus stop on Haymar. There'll be children going to this development after school, to school. There'll be people going to work. This really needs to go back and have a little more review. Also, if it does come out to where you're going to vote for this, then I recommend you do it as a trial period until the Quarry Creek project is built out to the maximum, and then readdress the issue. Because parking on the road, there is no place to yield if there's a car carrier. And it's really a safety issue. It's a public safety issue. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Kristen Johnson, followed by Cindy Rocco.
Okay. Here's the picture of after the planning commission, when the traffic engineer said there was plenty of parking and the road was wide. I just Googled it to look up the particular street, and this is the picture that's on Google Earth. There's cars on both sides. In an earlier picture, the pickup was waiting behind, but then he pulled around. He had to pull around. And as the previous speaker said, sometimes there's two loading cars at a time. And the cars that are parked there are mostly, well, all Mossy Nissan. I went there yesterday, and down by the houses there was no cars, and most of them had the Mossy license plate. In the park and ride, the Mossy cars are all parked in there too. And it's just solid cars plus the parking ride that whole way. And it's either employees or their overflow. I tried to take some of the pictures. There were a lot of them that still had the dealer tags in both areas. And just more of the same. That's in the parking ride. Another part of the area. Another car on the street. And we saw the Mossy employee get out of that one and walk back over to the place. So I would hope that whatever you decide, that it's not true what we heard at the Planning Commission, that it's plenty of room and that never happens. It's supposed to only happen during the evening. There is a sign up that says that, but it's clear that they need to do something about how they schedule the amount of cars on their lot, because when those new homes go up, and they're framed now, it's going to be a real nightmare. Thank you.
Hi, Cindy Rocco, Council, Honorable Council. I understand, I'm talking about item 12, and I'm going to request that we do possibly delay this item from approval. I understand our responsiveness to Mossy because of the sales tax revenue generated, and I get that, but we need to keep in mind that the lone Adobe resident family donated a mile of beach to the city of Oceanside and also commands a degree of respect. Until the 600 Quarry Creek development, the Haymar Road users were the lone Adobe resident and Mossy test drivers speeding down and kind of seeing what kind of power the cars had. All this being said, the scenario has changed drastically related to the Quarry Creek development and the traffic to be generated from 600 residences. Mind you, I could not find the development plans or EIR for the dealership, but I do imagine there had to be a truck delivery plan and a certain lot capacity for their vehicles. But as Kristen's pictures showed, the Mossy dealership has expanded their sales lot to the street and the park and ride, and often blocking passage with delivery trucks. The Carlsbad project EIR specifically references, 1, no changes to Haymar are anticipated. The park and ride will become a bus stop and a bus turnaround lot. And 3, that Oceanside own the traffic lights and the traffic demands because they spill right into our city. With preferably a cost-sharing partnership with Carlsbad, I request a commitment in support of our neighbors to conduct a full traffic study and establish a plan to mitigate the congestion at Lake and College, Haymar and College, Plaza Drive and College, Vista Way and College. I'll ask you to please amend this item and delay the passage, and I thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to a positive response. Thank you.
No further public on this item.
Thank you. Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you. I have been having some conversations with Ms. Shelley Crone about her concerns, especially since they're going to be a build-out. It's going to be 600 new homes who will be using this road and this road only to come in and out. And right now, at this time, since there is another dealership, there is additional use of this road by the car dealerships, and so it's what's been happening is it's been difficult to drive through that road to be able to get in and out. And I've seen pictures above and beyond the ones that we saw tonight. I have seen pictures where when they're loading and unloading, it really does cause just traffic standstill. And as I understand it, I think Shelley told me that several times it was well over 45 minutes, well over an hour that they take, and there could be emergencies happening. So I understand. I've spoken to the city manager, and I understand that staff's position is it does not warrant a traffic study. Is that correct?
Deputy Mayor Lowry and council members, that is correct. It does not require
Okay.
that.
Well, I've looked at the resolution, and basically what I believe that needs to be added is there needs to be on-site traffic management whenever there is loading and unloading, because that way you ensure that the public safety of residents driving on there. I understand that Mossy uses the road for test driving. It has been a nice, long, lonely road except for the residents at the far end, but it's no longer that situation. So I would ask that we go ahead and add that. I'm not sure how many times they do loading and unloading. I guess it's mostly unloading, but certainly that is a major kind of operation, and having someone to direct traffic when that happens ensures the public safety of everyone using that street. So, staff, do you think that would be something that would be reasonable to add?
So, Deputy Lowry and council members, I failed to mention David Aparo, State Traffic Engineer, when I first responded. This item is for a loading zone, and
right.
we've installed loading zones throughout the city. It's a yellow zone, so we would be setting precedents if we were to ask someone to set up some type of traffic control or flagging operation for this type of thing.
Only for auto dealerships.
Only for
Yeah.
Well, this would be something. I mean, it's not something that's in our
But
city
we only have
code
these two.
that we could require them to do, but we could certainly ask them if they would participate in this. And you know, anticipating these questions would come in from Planning Commission, we went out last month and did a 45-second video to show exactly how the loading or loading of one of these car carriers would take place up against the curb as part of this loading zone. And if the council wishes, I could show that 45-second video just to show you how we anticipate the operation to happen.
No, I'm actually, I don't think that, excuse me, I don't think that, I think that these are experiences that are really happening. It's not that they could happen, it's that they are happening, even with the loading of the, I mean, they've been unloading there up against the curb already, and that was without getting approval for it. And this has been, so basically what we have is something that's been temporarily allowed, right, to make that permanent, and that's what the staff report says. So even with what we had, what we were requiring, even with that, there's still public safety issues. But if they, since it totally benefits Mossy Nissan, if they simply had, in the 2 or 3 times, for however long it takes to unload the vehicles, someone standing out there and directing traffic, you know, to make sure that people don't zip around and then run right into an oncoming car. I mean, that's all I'm asking. And it seems like, to me, it seems reasonable. We're not going to be asking for a traffic study, 600 homes. Hopefully, we'll be able to figure that out. 600 times, 3? That many people, and, you know, possibly even that many cars coming in and out, one way, in and one way out. So, City Manager?
Sure. Deputy Mayor, council members, I think we can certainly ask Mossy. They are going to be just as concerned as we are about safety.
Yes.
With their merchandise, and certainly we can ask them to voluntarily do that.
You can't require it? I mean, it's a public safety issue.
Have we talked to them about this?
Deputy Mayor Lowry and council members, no, we have not talked to them specifically about having some flagging operation going on while they're unloading.
Again, all the examples that have been shown up to date, everything I've witnessed as the city traffic engineer has been them double parking and blocking the lane while they're doing the loading and unloading. And what we're recommending will eliminate that, so they'll be up against the curb, out of the travel lanes doing this. So they won't be in the travel lanes doing the unloading of vehicles.
Well, the cars have to go somewhere other than, when they get unloaded. They're going to be entering the traffic, and there's going to be people directing that, right?
At this point, no, but again, I have a 45-second video that would clearly show how this operation would work. They were kind enough to send a car carrier over so we could videotape it. So.
Oh, and you have that with you?
Yeah, it's ready to go.
Okay.
So this is the exact location where we're proposing the yellow zone. It's up against the curb, and you can clearly see that both the east and westbound travel lanes are clear. And what we're proposing is 245 feet of yellow zone. So our car carrier is about 70 feet long. And we added another 40 additional feet for their ramp and for them to back out. So with two car carriers, 245 feet was estimately attainable.
Thank you very much for the video. I still have concerns. Obviously, that must have been a very clear day with no traffic, but we're talking about 600 new homes, and I think it would be just a simple thing to do to add an on-site traffic manager. It shouldn't cost them very much at all. So that would be my recommendation, and that would be my motion, that we add a traffic management on-site traffic manager just during the unloading.
Councilmember Karn.
Thank you. It seems like the video, this resolves the problem because it keeps the traffic lane open. I would be probably a little bit more encouraged if they put on an orange cone, just like any other industrial area where they have stopped, to talk to them about that. And I think working with Mossy to work with the unloading zone, because I think this solves your problem. I mean, the idea that we're talking about the double parking, it keeps both traffic lanes open, they pull out. So this is, I think, a really good solution to what the problem was. So I'm going to move staff's recommendation forward. Thank you.
I'll turn my mic on. So, is this the only road to access that new neighborhood?
Deputy Mayor Lowry and council members know.
Well, there's another road?
There is another road.
Not just that road.
Marin. Yeah.
So 600 new homes are going to be served by another road also?
It is, and we reviewed their traffic study a couple of years ago. So what they're showing, of the 600 homes, what they're showing is basically 5,500 new ADT coming from that development. 62% is coming on Haymar, and then the other 38% will be on Marin Road. So what we're anticipating from the traffic study is about 3,500 new vehicles on Haymar, plus 1,500 existing today is about 5,000 ADT, which for a collector road in the city of San Diego, that's about a level of service fee for the segment.
So if this doesn't work out to the satisfaction of the people who use the road, or there are issues that actually happen to come up rather than it being speculation, can we change things there? Or are we going to have to suffer through this whole, thing forever?
We'll certainly be reviewing it as time progresses and the development takes place. I would assume most people out there that drive take the path of least resistance. So if they're seeing, the segment's pretty well defined and operates okay. It's once you get to College Boulevard and the intersections along College Boulevard, and that's where there's quite a bit of congestion, as everyone knows. So that's really going to be the critical path is once you're on College so much. So again, if people feel it's uncomfortable on Haymar, yes, I could see them taking the alternate route. And we will be observing it as time goes on.
Sure. So essentially it is a trial because we're going to approve it and then we're still going to monitor it, like we just said.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Councilmember Kern.
Just one quick question. The mention about the 7-second traffic light, is that going to be adjusted as Quarry Creek comes online?
Deputy Mayor Lowry and council members, yes. As time goes on, we will be reviewing all the signals along that corridor, but just so you know, the signals from Plaza going north up to Marvin, they're all interconnected, and there's a 120-second cycle length that we have. And again, the critical movement's on College. So if we start taking time away from College and giving it to some of these side streets, then we're taking away from the major thoroughfare.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's please vote.
Motion approved, 3-1. Sanchez, no. Does that include item number 14?
Item number 14.
Yes. Item number 14 is adoption of a resolution to certify and approve the hiring of Jose Martinez as an hourly extra health consulting assistant effective January 10th, 2018 in the amount not to exceed $36,135 per year to fill a critically needed position in the Police Department Backgrounds Unit.
Chief, welcome.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Mayor, council members. The police department utilizes retired police officers on a part-time basis to perform our backgrounds on new police officers. We started doing this a number of years ago as a cost savings measure so that we are not taking full-time police officers off the street to perform this function. We have recently lost 2 of our background investigators as of December 31st, and we will be losing another one next month in February. So we would like to bring Jose Martinez on board, who just retired. He has extensive experience in investigations, who we feel will be an asset for us and will be able to ensure that we are hiring quality police officers here for the city of Oceanside. I would ask that you move forward with our recommendation and approve this item. And I'm available for any questions that you may have.
No public on this item.
Thank you. Councilmember Sanchez.
Move adoption.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd like to go to item 20.
Yes, item number 20 is a request by Deputy Mayor Lowry and Councilmember Sanchez to bring forward a resolution of the City of Oceanside in support of transgendered members of the armed forces.
No presentation, no discussion.
We have a lot of speakers on this item. Did you want to bring?
How many do you have?
1 moment. We have 6 speakers so far.
6?
Yes.
Oh.
Max would like to speak first.
Right now?
If you're going to bring forward the public at first.
7, 10.
Yes, Deputy Mayor, I was going to ask Mr. Desposi to speak during my time as well.
Oh.
So, in presenting this.
So 13 minutes then. Why don't you take an hour? How, 2 hours? That'd be just fine.
That's fine.
Yeah, thank you. Glad we worked that out.
Do I have a translation?
Thank you. Yes, you'll receive a bill for that.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Council members, Deputy Mayor, thank you for having us. I would like to start with a quick 2-minute movie preview. I believe it's right here.
And Max is the Executive Director for the LGBTQ Resource Center here in Oceanside.
I'm a retired Army veteran. Like a lot of modern day couples, we met online.
It's very rare that you find that person that totally completes you.
He's still learning about.
Relationships are the learning process.
My brother, myself, and my youngest sister, we were all in the military, and so coming out to my parents as trans was a really tough thing to go through. I understood that it wasn't just about me transitioning, it was about everyone around me transitioning.
Growing up in Texas, I always liked women, and kind of the label was, oh, well, they're a lesbian, obviously. But it didn't fit right with me, that label. I was the worst lesbian. Plaid everywhere, which...
Plaid everywhere.
It hasn't changed much.
Logan didn't actually come to me and say, oh, by the way, Mom, I'm transgender. He came home one time and his voice was getting deeper, and he just explained to me that it was allergies. I had to call him out on the carpet. I was like, yeah, I'm your mom. I know what's going on.
It's complicated, but President Trump tweeted out that transgender people should not be allowed to serve in the military. Though at the time they were just tweets, it then got to be a memo sent directly to the Pentagon.
As a veteran who served in the military as a trans person, reading those tweets was devastating for people like us.
So I remember when Ellen tweeted this, we should be grateful for the people who wish to serve, not turn our backs on them. Banning transgender people is hurtful, baseless, and wrong. Those words speak volumes, to our community, to the military, and how we need to come together.
Anybody that meets any of our trans military members, they would not even question if they were fit to serve our country.
And it feels really disheartening for a president to not have our back when I would give my life for him, and I would give my life for anybody in this country.
Okay, thank you so much for watching. So where are we? Thanks for the introduction, Esther, Councilmember Esther Sanchez. My name is Max Disposti. I am the Executive Director of the local LGBTQ Resource Center. A little bit of history about why we are presenting these resolutions today. Thank you, both Chuck Larry, Deputy Mayor Chuck Larry, and Esther Sanchez for moving this forward. The reason why is because obviously we take pride in our service members. We are in Oceanside. I don't have to tell you this. We have a lot of veterans are here in North San Diego County and active member duty here in Camp Pendleton. As an LGBT resource center, we do serve active duty folks and veterans, and many of which are transgender individuals. So in the past few years, we've been working with Camp Pendleton directly to help and support the coming out process of many of our transgender service members. Thousands of them actually live in the premises of San Diego County, and some are here, but as you know, the policies, they can't speak for themselves because they are active duty. Some are veterans and might be able to speak tonight. The idea is to send a message to this wonderful community that takes so much pride in supporting our troops, that when we say that we support our troops, we want to make sure we have a whole image in mind. We are people that happen to be transgender that have been discriminated for years. Donald Stoffel was just a problem up to 3 years ago. And the latest resolutions, even though now it's taking a good, actually, as you can see from the resolution now, we are actually in better waters, but it's definitely shook the troops in Camp Pendleton. We work with a lot of transgender active duty. Some of them are surgeons leading the troops to war, and they felt like caught in the middle of the conversation. So even though there were not real policies in place that affected the service of these individuals, in reality has affected the emotional stance. We work directly with the Navy Hospital that also takes care of the mental health of our troops, and those transgender individuals, many of which were already out, felt all of a sudden betrayed. It's not only that, it's all the conversation about our youth that happen to be LGBT transgender. This is not working, right? Okay, I don't pay attention. It's like my car dashboard, all the lights going on, and try not to pay attention to it. Sorry about that. So So the idea is actually, I think a city like this one in Oceanside, it takes pride on supporting the troops. As you know, this resolution doesn't have any legislative efforts. We're not telling Campbell to do anything. Actually, the law is already in place, as a matter of fact, but we are sending a strong message of solidarity to those troops and service members and veterans, some of which became homeless in our streets because of the past Don't Ask, Don't Tell, because they couldn't have the support that they were reaching out for. So we'll send a strong message of support and solidarity to our troops to make sure that a city like Oceanside leads the way in making sure that it's a clear message of support, not just for some of the troops, but for all the troops that are here in Camp Halton and elsewhere. A little bit also in reality, so we've been working in Camp Halton in the past few years with Lieutenant Jessica Bland from the Navy Hospital. She just was deployed in another city, but I worked with her extensively about understanding the dynamics of our trans troops here in Camp Halton, which are directly affected again by this conversation, and making sure that we provide all the support that we can. So all we're asking the council today, we're proud also of this consideration, moving forward with the consideration, is that to take in mind the active duty military that happen to be LGBT, in particular transgender folks here in Camp Halton. I think that's it for myself, but if you have any questions about the resolutions or anything else, I'll be very happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Max. And if would you like to read it? The resolution?
Would you like to do it? That would be great. You read much better than me. I can do it. You want me to do it? I'll do it.
Okay.
Thank you, Festus. Yeah, so we don't go back.
Get together, but
We're so shy.
it kind of sounds funny.
So the resolution for the City of Oceanside resolution will do the proposed resolution is whereas historical evidence shows that transgender people have served bravely and honorably in the U.S. military since the American Civil War. Whereas in May 2014, the William Institute estimated that there are 15,500 transgender people serving on active duty or in Guard Reserves, an additional 134,000 transgender people were either veterans or retired from the Guard Reserves. Actually, in the past 2 years, I was mentioning to Esther Sanchez, these numbers went considerably up. We have more statistics. Whereas on about in 2015, the American Medical Association announced that there was no medically valid reason to exclude transgender individuals from services in the U.S. military, approving a resolution against a ban. Whereas in July 2015, the United States Secretary of Defense, Dr. Ash Carter, ordered the creation of a Pentagon working group to study over the next 6 months the policy and readiness implication of welcoming transgender persons to serve openly. Whereas on June 30, 2016, Secretary Ash Carter officially announced effective immediately that no otherwise qualified service members may be involuntarily separated, discharged, or denied re-enlistment or continuation of service, solely on the basis of their gender identity, and laying a groundwork for training, education, and guidance materials and implementation of plans by each branch of the military to welcome transgender personnel into services. Whereas in July 2016-2017, the President's announcement that transgender people should not longer be allowed to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military was followed by a protest throughout the country and a letter signed by 56 retired generals and admirals opposing a ban on transgender military service members, stating that if implemented, the ban will cause significant disruptions, deprive the military of mission-critical talent, and compromise the integrity of transgender troops. Whereas 4 separate federal lawsuits challenging the imposition of a ban were filed, and a preliminary injunction against the ban was granted in part or in full in October 30, 2017, in November 21st, and December 11, and December 22nd, based on the Equal Protection Clause of the U.S. Constitution. Whereas on December 8, 2017, the Pentagon issued guidelines to recruitment personnel in order to enlist transgender applicants by January 1st, 2018. Whereas on or about December 30th, the Department of Justice withdrew its legal challenges to the federal court rulings, paving the way for transgender people to openly enlist in the U.S. military beginning on January 1st, 2018. West, the city of Oceanside, prides itself on historical commitment to our military families and veterans, especially due to its proximity to Camp Pendleton, established in 1942, and on the diversity of its citizens. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Oceanside hereby supports the implementation of plans by each branch of our U.S. military to welcome transgender people into the service defense of our country. As today, January 2018. Thank you.
Thank you, Max.
Would you like to continue with the public, Deputy Mayor? Great. Our next two speakers are August Butterbush and Rel Goen.
If you would just state your name, that's sufficient.
Hi, my name is Rel Goen.
Hi, I'm August Butterbush.
To Oceanside City Council, I would like to say thank you for considering this inclusive referendum in support of transgender troops. I am a gender non-conforming youth. It gives me hope to live in a city that recognizes transgender people. It gives me hope that I will be able to do anything I want to do with my life. By standing on the right side of history, the city of Oceanside is demonstrating to our youth that their existence is validated and that they can stand up for their rights. Thank you.
Hi. I'm here to show support for this resolution as a transgender military child. Like, watching my dad as I was growing up, kids always want to be like their parents, right? So, I always kind of wanted to join the military, and so when I saw those tweets, I was kind of devastated. And it just really mean a lot if you all showed support for this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next two, Our next two speakers are Major Paige Byron and Kara Schumer.
Hello, my name's Major Paige Byron. I'm a retired Marine Corps officer. I've got 21 years of service. I flew assault transport helicopters in the Marines. I also transitioned about 15 years ago, so I am a trans person who served on active duty. And I flew helicopters on and off ships in good weather and bad, and clearly I'm still here. So I want to thank you for support of this bill. It gives the people that I know who are transgender on active duty hope that the community out there actually supports them. The military can be somewhat patriarchal, and it can be a very difficult environment for transition. And for them to know that the community outside supports them really makes a big difference. So I want to thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Kara Schumer. I am a transgender woman that works out of the LGBT Center under the Gender Advocacy Project. And basically what that means is that I help with the group sessions that a lot of these transgender military people attend to. And I've been doing that for about 2 years now. So I'm the person that's in front of these people and trying to help them with any type of guidance that they might need. I hear some of the wildest stories, especially from the military people. People that have been transitioning for, quite a few years, but still can't come out to their captains or their superiors. They basically still hide it, and they have medically transitioned, which is pretty surprising because I could not hide it that long. So it's really interesting how these people are always affected in the military already, and a lot of generals and everything else don't really know that they are transgender. So this will definitely help open up and start another conversation. One thing that I did realize from the conversations I had from these people, from these groups, is they really value tradition. And I know that tradition is something that usually gets passed down from, your parents or things that you hear all the time. Similar tradition of milk creates strong bones, for instance. Well, the tradition of, what you hear about transgender people has been a negative one for a really, really long time. And so we really want to change that tradition with this resolution, help send a message to the rest of, the country and different cities to say that the tradition is different and that, we are valid people in the community and they're just really nice to know. So thank you.
Our next two speakers are Kathy Molig and Maria Sharma.
Hi, my name is Kathy Molig, and I am the Executive Director of Trans Family Support Services. We service families and trans individuals all over the country. I can tell you that in July, when the tweet came out, my phone lit up at 5:30 a.m. and didn't stop until after 11 p.m. I have several active duty trans individuals that I work with, and they were scared for their livelihoods, and they were scared for their lives. Oceanside putting out this resolution is a huge statement forward to the trans community. The Williams Institute, which is the research arm of UCLA, recently put out a new study that 1 in every 137 youth identify as trans or non-binary. That's a huge number of young adults and young individuals coming up in our ranks that are going to want to serve this country. And being able to know that their local city has their back is going to be a huge statement that's made. The last 6 months have been a roller coaster for our service people, for our veterans, and for our young children of active duty service members. They have been concerned about losing their medical coverage. They have been concerned about their future, and they're concerned about their parents' trajectory in their own occupation, knowing that they have out trans individuals in their family. So you have sent a huge, strong message of support to these individuals, and in particular to our youth, and we're very, very grateful for that. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Maria Alshama. I am the Director of Project Youth for the North County LGBTQ Resource Center. I am on the board there. I'm also a school social worker in Vista. I work at the middle and high school level. I work with a lot of trans, gender nonconforming, LGBTQ youth, and I'm also the parent to a transgender, non-binary 21-year-old. I want to thank you for considering this resolution today. It's very exciting. The two words in the resolution that really stand out to me are welcome and support. Those are two things that often our transgender folks do not find in their communities at all. I work with youth who want to join the military, who talk to me about it at the high school level, and to be able to start to say things to them like, the city of Oceanside has this proclamation in support of you doing that. That's huge. To be affirmed and welcomed and supported like that sends an incredible signal, and I'm really excited to see Oceanside on the forefront of doing something like that for our trans community. Thank you.
Thank you.
No more public on phone.
Thank you.
I am going to move adoption of the resolution.
No speakers?
So you guys are the presenters. Are you guys done? You guys get to close, right?
Right.
Yeah, okay. So.
Do you want a second?
Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you.
I mean, I am a veteran. I spent 5 years in the Air Force. In those 5 years, I spent one Christmas at home. The other 4 years, I was overseas or in schools in the East Coast. So it is a grind, and I applaud anybody that wants to do what actually Councilmember Feller and I, because Councilmember Feller is the other veteran on the council. He was the Navy, so we don't really talk about it. So, but no, anybody that wants to serve should serve. You know, the idea that we can't define patriotism by your sexual orientation. The idea that, you know. So the idea, we do still have recruiting problems in the military. A lot of people don't want to join. So the idea if we widen the pool and the idea that probably as the Marine Corps officer could probably attest to, it's becoming a much more technical military. There's very few frontline ground troops. During World War II, there was, for every frontline fighter, there was 4 people in support. During Vietnam, for every frontline soldier, there was 11 people in support. Now we probably have one frontline soldier, we probably have close to about 18, 19 people in support. So, it's a more technical organization. I say I was in the Air Force, never set foot on an Air Force base. I was in England for 2.5 years running telephone systems, and I was at Camp Pendleton for another two and a half years running telephone systems. So anyway, I totally support this program.
Thank you. Councilmember Felton.
Thank you. If you wanted teeth, you would have been glad to have the Navy around. That's what I did, was make teeth. So I will support this because I will do anything to help people gain acceptance, especially to God's kingdom. So thank you.
Well, the day that tweet came out, there was an instant response here, and the community came out, and we gathered around the area just down near the fountain, and I felt it was so important I had to be there, and wrote a very nice letter in support of our troops that we formed that into an official letter from my office as the Deputy Mayor of the City of Oceanside, and we sent it to the commanders at the military base here at Camp Pendleton, and just told them that we felt it was very important for the Marine Corps to officially interact in a positive way with our troops, no matter what the circumstances around that. And since then, of course, this has gotten even more intense, and the situation that we have here, I'm very pleased that we are in support of this. Everyone has expressed support for it. So I look forward to this. Oh, Councilmember Sanchez wants to speak. So.
What I want to say is it was a pleasure working with you, Max, there you are, on the wording of this resolution. I certainly learned a lot. The transgender folks have been defending our country and putting their lives on the line since the Civil War, years and years. And this is a historical time, and I am so proud that our city is standing up with everyone, including transgender folks. This is so important, so historical, and I am so proud of our city. Thank you very, very much.
Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-0.
We are going to take a 5-minute break until 6 o'clock, and we'll get back onto the agenda. Thank you.
Did you know most men take better care of their cars than they do themselves? Nearly 26% of men 18 to 44 years old in the United States do not have a regular source of health care. Make an appointment today to ensure you stay healthy tomorrow. This message is brought to you by Tri-City Medical Center. Advanced health care for you.
Oceanside Spectrum is a unique talk show that seeks to shine light on local nonprofit organizations in San Diego's North County. Guests from these nonprofits are interviewed by host Elaine Swan about upcoming events, volunteer opportunities, and much more. Oceanside Spectrum airs Monday through Friday on Channel 18 at 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. If your nonprofit organization would like to promote an upcoming event, attract new members, or share your good work, please call 760-722-4433 or email us at kocc@kocc.org.
The Oceanside Public Library is proud to offer you best-selling and classic ebooks and digital audiobooks, available 24/7 by visiting the library's website. You can browse the collection, borrow with your library card, and enjoy on your computer, tablet, smartphone, or e-reader. Many borrowed ebooks and audiobooks can be enjoyed immediately in your web browser. Titles automatically expire at the end of the lending period. There are no late fees. With hundreds of popular titles to choose from, this collection is guaranteed to have something for everyone. You can enjoy bestsellers and classic literature, stories for kids and teens, and much more anytime, anywhere. All you need is your library card. In addition, the library offers classes to help you get started borrowing ebooks and digital audiobooks with your device. For class information or for more details about ebooks or digital audiobooks, visit our website at oceansidepubliclibrary.org or call us at 760-435-5600.
Vehicle burglaries and thefts are on the rise in San Diego County. The Oceanside Police Department wants you to know these simple rules for keeping yourself and your property safe. Park in a visible, well-lit area. Completely close all windows and sunroofs. Keep your car tidy and all things out of plain sight. This includes phone chargers, loose chargers, personal items, shopping bags, and even assorted mail. Nothing of value should be left in your car. Lock your doors and make sure they are locked. Stow items in the trunk out of sight. If possible, stow items before you reach your next destination. Always take your keys with you and never leave the car running while you run in quickly for something. In addition, if you see suspicious activity, report it to an attendant or to the police. Help keep yourself and others safe by taking responsibility for your property and staying vigilant wherever you go. The Oceanside Police Department needs your help in preventing crime. If you have questions on what you can do to prevent crime in your neighborhood, please contact the Oceanside Police Department at 760-435-4900.
chatting is welcome in the lobby. And we are going to move on to our next item, which is item number 16. It's got to do with a map.
Item number 16 is adoption of resolution approving tentative parcel map, development plan, conditional use permit, and regular coastal permit to allow the demolition of an existing single-family residence and enable the construction of a 3-story, 3-unit residential condominium complex located at 508 North Tremont Street, North Tremont Street Condominium. Applicant Timothy P. Kelly. And if we could open the public hearing, that would be great. Deputy Mayor Lowry? Open the public hearing.
Yeah. Open public hearing. Disclosure.
I forgot to ask staff my question, but I have been by the site.
Staff only.
No contact.
Staff only, and I've been by the site.
All materials been provided to the council.
Thank you. Welcome, Scott.
All right. Good evening, Deputy Mayor, council members, members of the public. I'm Scott Nightingale, Senior Planner from the Planning Division, here to present agenda item number 16 for the adoption of a resolution approving the development plan for a 3-unit condominium complex located at 508 North Tremont Street. The applicant's representative from EOS Architecture is present, and they'll make themselves known. The project is comprised of a tentative parcel map, development plan, and a conditional use permit and regular coastal permit. This entitlement proposal that we have in front of us today is exactly the same as the proposal that was approved back on April 22nd, 2015, with the exception of the reduction of the rooftop access stairwell to meet the current code. So this project here is would propose the demolition of a 424 existing single-family home to enable the construction of a 3-story, 3-unit residential condominium on 0.118 acres. The residential unit sizes would range in square footage from 2,100 to about 2,400, and they would consist of three to 2 bedrooms with 2.5 baths. They would have access off the rear alley, which would have a private gated access for a two-car garage through a motor court type design. Access to the units would also occur from the internal stairwell within the home and the garage, and a shared front access lobby area with an elevator. The project site is located 1 block north of the intersection of North Tremont Street and Sport Fisher. It is zoned within Subdistrict 9 of the Downtown District, which allows single-family, multifamily, and row homes, as well as mixed-use developments. The project is noted in the red box, and it's surrounded by other single-family type developments pretty much in all directions, with the exception of commercial developments located directly to the east. Here's some images of the elevation. This 3-unit condo complex will provide a 3-story contemporary architectural design that would provide vehicular access off the rear alley and pedestrian off the front. The second level will provide a majority of the habitable bedrooms, and the third level would provide the living room and kitchen areas. Staff has worked with the applicant to provide additional articulations and breaks in the facade to break up the building's massing. And here's a rendering of what it would look like off of Tremont. The architecture and landscaping would work in harmony with one another and complement the development in terms of bulk, scale, and type, with the project itself and as well as the neighborhood. And here's another image of it. When analyzing the project, staff reviewed the project based on the general plan findings. General plan land use compliance. It achieves a balance of residential land uses. It provides additional housing stock, which is needed for the city. Provides a good transition between the high density residential and single family. And the proposed residential use and number of units is compatible and appropriate for this area and location. And it complies with the downtown zoning ordinance in terms of development standards, bulk, scale, and type. And lastly, it complies with the local coastal program. There'll be no public coastal access impacts. as well as coastal view impacts, nor will there be any public parking impacts. This project did go to the Downtown Advisory back on October 25th, 2017, where it was approved 6-0 with committee members Franklin and O'Doherty absent for recommendation to this board. So with that, staff recommends that the Community Development Commission confirm the CEQA exemption and adopt project resolution to approve the tentative parcel map, development plan, conditional use permit, and regular coastal permit. This concludes my presentation. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
At this time, the testimony can be provided by the applicant if they choose to do so.
The public?
All right, so, does the applicant want to?
Good evening. My name is Jennifer Brolin with AOS Architecture, and I am just here to answer any questions you might have. That covered the project well.
Thank you so much. At this time, we'll move on to the public. Is there any members of the public who wish to speak on this item? If so, you can address the council at this time. Deputy Mayor, I see none.
Thank you.
You can close the public hearing.
Close public hearing. Councilmember Kern.
Move approval.
Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-0.
Thank you. Item number 17.
Yes, item number 17 is adoption of resolution approving tentative parcel map, development plan, and regular coastal permit for the development of a 3-unit residential townhome condominium complex located at 812 North Cleveland Street, North Cleveland Street Condominiums, applicant Chris Barrett.
Welcome back, Scott.
All right.
Thank you.
Do we need disclosures on this item?
Disclosures.
I've just been to the site.
Staff.
No contact.
Staff only.
All materials can provide to the council, and if we could officially open the meeting, that would be.
Okay.
All right. Good evening. Scott Nightingale from the Planning Division. Here to present agenda item 17 for the adoption of a resolution approving a tentative parcel map, development plan, and coastal permit for a 3-unit residential townhome located at 812 North Cleveland Street. This is a rendering that you would see from North Cleveland Street looking east. The project, like I said in the intro, is to create 3-story over basement 3-unit townhome condominium development with associated common areas on an existing vacant 5,000 square foot parcel. The townhome development would be a 9,762 square feet in total. Each unit would include 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, and a 2-car tandem garage. The units would range in size from 2,200 to about 2,600. They would also have their own private open balcony space, as well as an oversized 2-car tandem garage. Like I said in the intro here, the project's located at 812 North Cleveland Street, directly in the center of the block on the east side of the street, surrounded by single-family and residential development in all directions. We have a condominium complex located directly to the west. You have row homes to the north, and directly to the south you have some single-family homes, and as well as row homes to the east. Here's an image of the existing site. It's currently vacant. Based on building records, it shows that there was a single-family home that was demolished back in the 1970s, but it's been vacant ever since. And this is looking from the alley. The proposed building footprint and layout would meet the development standards and setbacks, as well as height and bulk and scale. Here's some images of the rendering. The proposed building elevations will be designed in a mixture of contemporary and Spanish architecture elements that you would see throughout the neighborhood. The architecture elements consist of a mix of stucco wall coverings, terracotta roof tiles, iron balcony, guardrails, arch window designs, as well as a mansard roof design and accent trellis. The proposed contemporary Spanish elements and 3-unit condo complex would complement and be compatible with the neighborhood while providing an attractive streetscape. There is no rooftop deck on this project, which we typically see. They work with staff on providing some additional higher architecture elements to enhance the project. The proposed drought-tolerant landscaping palette has been thoughtfully designed to provide an attractive streetscape while enhancing the neighborhood. They do provide some canopy trees and a lot of ground cover towards the front elevation, which would complement not only the project but the neighborhood. When reviewing this project, staff reviewed the project based on the following for general plan compliance. It achieves a balance of residential land uses, provides a good transition between the existing high-density residential and single-family developments within the area. The proposed residential use is compatible and appropriate for this location in terms of density. It meets all development standards in terms of the zoning ordinance, as well as the local coastal program. There's no public coastal access, no coastal view access, nor would there be public parking impacts. Like the other project, this project did go to the Downtown Advisory back on October 25th, and it too was approved 6-0 with Franklin and Ododi absent for recommendation to the Community Development Commission. So with that, staff recommends the Community Development Commission confirm the CEQA exemption and approve the project resolution for tentative parcel map development plan and regular coastal permit for project approval. This concludes our presentation. I'll be happy to answer your questions.
At this time, the applicant has the opportunity to provide testimony if they wish to do so.
Deputy Mayor, council members, thank you for considering the project. I'm here to answer any questions as we proceed, but at the moment, I'll wait to field those if you have them. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
At this time, move to the public. Alexa Harmon.
Hi, Honorable Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I live at 809 North Tremont Street. You actually saw a picture of my home. I stare out at that lot. This project will decimate the ocean view and harbor view for everything on Tremont Street East. That includes the hotels. That includes businesses. I've written a letter that goes over all of this. This is a 35-foot, 4-story building. Everything else around it is 2 stories. Okay? This is not cool. I don't understand why this city keeps approving projects that aren't beneficial to the city. You could build 3 condos here that are worth about $500,000 each. You could build 2 row homes that are built at 35 feet. You're going to get at least 1.2 to 1.5 million. I don't get it. It doesn't add up. Okay. I've lived here for 20 years. I've seen you guys make really dumb decisions. I've also seen you make brilliant decisions. Stop selling us short.
This is a public hearing item. Any other members of the public who wish to speak on this specific item have the opportunity to do so at this time. Deputy Mayor Lowry, I see none. You can close the public hearing.
Close public hearing. Councilmember Feller.
Scott, the parking, that's underground. I thought I saw you say basement there, but I saw 3 garage doors on the back. So how does that work? I couldn't picture that.
Councilmember Feller, the parking's on the first level. Actually, there's a basement level that is comprised of Unit A, and then above that is the actual garage that comes off the alley, and that's a tandem configuration for each of the 3 units. So there's 3 separate tandem garages.
Okay.
And they come off the ground level, not basement.
All right, very good. I move approval.
Councilmember Kern.
Yeah, a second. I have the same question as Councilmember Feller. Can you pull up the schematics and show me how the basement fits in? I'm just a little, seeing that on the drawings and stuff, I'm trying to figure out, can you say what's in the basement?
Very good. The basement is comprised of Unit A. So here, this is the basement level that we're looking at. This white space is just basically soil. So that's Unit A here in the yellow. And this is the first level. so access to the first level is off the alley. And this is Unit A. So to access the lower basement level, you can either walk down the steps here and go to the open air area underneath this ground level, or you can go into the internal stairwell through Unit A and go down to the basement level as well. I'll go back here so you can see.
And how many square feet is Unit A? Is it 1, 2, 3, so unit?
About 2,200 square feet.
Okay. It's 3 bedrooms like that. Okay, all right, I just trying to get oriented here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you. Well, we just heard testimony that this proposal is not consistent with the surrounding community, and I am concerned that we're moving in that direction, trying to establish a new standard. And the thing about doing that is that it never ends. There's always going to be a desire to do more and more. And there is definitely character in this community. There is definitely a sense of community. And I have some concerns that based on the testimony that it is not consistent, that it's going to basically not allow for views, and that is what people pay for. And that is, whether we like it or not, that is the basis for a lot of the property values that we have very close to the ocean. So my concern here is that it's not consistent with the surrounding community. Thank you.
Okay, please vote.
If I could just say one more thing, I do think that we need to stop allowing for tandem, especially since a lot of these units turn out to be vacation rentals, and that tandem just really does not allow for sufficient parking. Thank you.
Second.
There was a second. Motion and a second.
I second.
Yeah, Councilmember Feller, motion.
Please
and
vote.
Second. Motion approved, 3-1. Sanchez, no.
Item number
Good job, Scott.
21. Oh. Where is that? 22. 15. Item number 15.
Yes, item number 15. Presentation by the City Attorney on the procedures to fill the vacancy in the office of an elected mayor, potential appointment to fill the remaining term of the vacancy on either January 10th, January 24th, or February 7th, 2018, or direction to staff to prepare the necessary resolutions to fill the vacancy through an election at the next established election date.
Well, that pretty much covered the presentation, but I'll reiterate a couple points here. Honorable Deputy Mayor and members of the Council, as you're aware, the vacancy in the office of the Mayor was created officially on January 1st of this year, which was the effective date of Mayor Wood's resignation. The process for replacing the Mayor is set forth in the California Government Code, specifically Section 34902. I'll just read the relevant section of that code, which says, quote, "In the case of a vacancy in the office of the Mayor for any reason, the Council shall fill the vacancy by appointment. If the Council fails to fill it within 60 days, it shall call an election to fill the vacancy to be held on the next established election date, to be held not less than 114 days thereafter. A person appointed or elected to fill a vacancy shall hold office for the unexpired term of the former incumbent." So your options are pretty clear. You have the option to make the appointment, and the person appointed would serve the remaining term. That's until December of 2020. Alternatively, you could direct us to prepare the resolutions to call the election. If the Council calls the election shall be on the next established election date, to be held not less than 114 days thereafter. But if you want this election to be in the June 5th ballot, then you can't use the full 60 days. Under the current Council schedule, you'd have to adopt the necessary resolutions by February 7th. That's using our current Council calendar. If you choose to use all 60 days, which you have the right to do, to make an appointment. The last day to make an appointment under our current schedule would be the February 28th council meeting. But again, if you're unable to make an appointment at that date, then we'd have to adopt a resolution to call the election, and then that would be in the November ballot of this year. So those are pretty much your options. I'll just make a couple quick points on miscellaneous issues that I get questions on from time to time. First, could a council member vote on their own appointment to mayor? And my conclusion is that you could, based upon the language of FPPC Regulation 18702.5, that allows you to vote for an appointment to a position on a body for which you're already on. So you're on the council. The mayoral position is part of the city council. So you have the authority under 18702.5 to vote on that, even though there's a marginal financial benefit to a potential council member who would get that appointment. The more difficult question is, what happens if a council member is appointed to the position of mayor? Obviously, that creates a vacancy in the council member position. Under Government Code Section 36512, you'd have the opportunity to fill that vacancy by appointment within a 60-day time period, or again, to call an election. So there's a little bit of complicating factors because we have established districts. They go into effect for Districts 1 and Districts 2 in 2018, for Districts 3 and Districts 4 in 2020. So if a council member whose seat is up in 2018 were to be appointed mayor, then that council person's seat would be declared vacant. The person who is appointed to fill that position would then serve until November of 2018 and then stand for election, and if he or she chose to do so, that would be a 4-year term. The people in candidates for Districts 1 and 2 would have to be members of the district at the time the nomination papers are filed. If a person who is up for election, a council member in 2020, were to be appointed, then a successor, there would be a vacancy in that council member's office. A successor could be appointed on an at-large basis, but then that person would stand for election in November of 18, and that election would be for a 2-year term, which would be the balance of the original 4-year term. So hopefully that's straightforward enough, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have on it.
Secretary Mayor, we have 9 speakers on this item.
I guess one point of clarification. So if a 2020 council member is appointed to the mayor's position, we can appoint at large to backfill that seat. That person can be at large, but stand for election in 2018 at large or by district?
No, for the 2018 it would remain. If it's a 2020 council member, then it would be at large.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Zach, did you?
Yeah, I agree.
Want to jump in? Okay.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that was correct. Yes, 2 minutes. Okay, so we have 9 speakers. I'm going to call you 2 at a time. First, we have Aaron Morin, followed by Robert Markley. We have 2 podiums. Feel free to line up with those. Aaron Morin, followed by Robert Markley.
Hello, Council and Deputy Mayor Chuck. Just wanted to let you know that this is really, okay. I think that we should have an election for the mayoral seat because it's a job. It's a step up. Our mayor, he served his term, his full term, he served, but then he was sick and now he's resigned. I feel that an election should be the process. This is a job, and I feel that if you want that job, you should show us your resume. You should go out there and convince the people that you are qualified for this job. I feel that this is like a promotion, and if you want that promotion, you have to work for that promotion. This is like another promotion in your job. And I feel that an election is valid, and we should have one. Thank you.
Robert Markley, 200 North El Camino Real. Tonight you have a choice of appointing mayor or putting it on a ballot. If you appoint somebody, you may as well appoint Esther Sanchez. She's the longest serving council member and would be sure to win an election anyway. So I suggest you save the city money and appoint Esther tonight. Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Lisa Hamilton, followed by Randall Vanderwet.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor, Council members. Lisa Hamilton, 323 South Ditmar. I also want an election for mayor. I don't care whether it's in June or November, although I prefer November because it makes it a slightly cheaper election. But cost is not the point because Oceanside wastes a lot of money on a lot of things, and this is important. We did not vote, all the city did not necessarily vote for all the sitting council members. So why should they appoint a mayor? A decision which diminishes our vote. I ask you to protect the right to elect our mayor, our only representative who will be elected at large for the whole city by establishing an election for mayor either in June or November. Thank you.
Is Randall Vanderwet here? Randall Vanderwet? Okay, we'll move on to our next two speakers. Oh, thank you. Yeah, Randall, there you go.
Good evening. Thank you very much for letting me have this time this evening. I want to start off by thanking Mayor Woods for his years and years of service to our city. God bless him, and I hope he's doing well. I'd like to say that I would like to see you put it on the ballot as soon as possible because of the recent changes to the election of our council members. The fact that two of the people could be appointed for an extraordinarily long period of time does not reflect the interests of the community at large. So I gratefully or respectfully request that you put it on the ballot without hesitation and move on. Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Jim Jenkins, followed by Dennis Cisneros.
Deputy Mayor, council members, thank you for the opportunity. Jim Jenkins, 1429 Calle Marbella. I'm the Vice President of Action, and I highly recommend and request that the citizens of Oceanside be given the right to vote and elect the next mayor that will best serve the community versus an appointed one that is out for their own personal interest and that of outside interest groups. I feel that the people deserve and request that these proceedings go to an election and let us as the people of the city of Oceanside make this choice and make the election. I have another question and comment or a concern, regarding the appointment for deputy mayor. I understand under the City Code of Ordinances 2.1.65 that this person was supposed to be elected in the first meeting of December, and what happens there? I mean, we'd like to see the rotation of people being in there for deputy mayor to see what other candidates might be available. And I don't think it's right that one person continues to go on and on and on. So I'd like to see something be done about that as well. So thank you for the opportunity.
Cisneros, would you hold off just for a sec?
Yeah.
The city attorney.
So just to respond to that last comment, we are going to be addressing other regional appointments on another item tonight, but the deputy mayor is appointed by the mayor with the ratification of the city council. That's what the code section provides. Thank you.
Good to go? All right. My name is Dennis Cisneros.
I'm just here to ask the council to choose to move to an election.
Dennis, you're a little tall, so you need to kind of put your mic up. When you're 6'7", you have those issues.
I'm just hoping the city council votes or has a good discussion in the next coming weeks and decides that moves to election again either during the June primary or the November general election. I think the citizens of Oceanside should get to choose their next mayor. Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Arlene Hammerschmidt and Jimmy Knott.
Good evening, Deputy Mayor and council members. Arlene Hammerschmidt, 2290 Ivy Road. First, I'd like to thank Councilmember Kern for speaking distinctly and directly into the microphone. You are the only person who speaks on this dais that I can actually hear. So thank you very much. I'm a member of a currently forming grassroots Oceanside group. Our vision is Oceanside governance you can trust. Yes, the residents of Oceanside currently have a bundle of trust issues with governance within the city of Oceanside, this body in particular. A part of our mission statement reads, we advocate protection of every resident's right to an equal voice and impartial, transparent governance. I'm going to say that again. We advocate protection of every resident's right to an equal voice and impartial, transparent governance. Holding an election for mayor is the best way for this body to restore some trust with residents by ensuring each of us an equal voice in this decision. Trust is worth spending some money on. A June election, I can't remember if it's the most cost-effective or not, but it would certainly be the quickest, and it would be done. I urge you to decide on an election so that people can elect the person to complete the nearly 3 years remaining on former Mayor Wood's 4-year term. And Mayor Wood, thank you very much. Audience, if you are here tonight in support of an election, would you please stand up for a second and stretch your legs? Thank you very much.
Deputy Mayor, council members, Jimmy Knott, 127 Cherry Lane. I don't know if the people here know, but Mayor Wood made a suggestion, a very appropriate suggestion. Former Mayor Wood suggested that we take our city clerk and ask him to be our mayor. And I agree with him. That would be the most appropriate appointment to temporarily finish out his term. There are many reasons for this, including support from South O, concerns for the taxpayers due to the cost of the election, and I could go on and on and on. This would also open the door, and I brought this here because I wanted people to have an idea on this, to explore changing our city ordinance, codes, and charter to add a 5th district and rotate the mayoral seat like many of our surrounding cities. This map here, if you went to all the hearings, was really manipulated. The public came out for 5 districts, not 4. And it was repeated again and again and again. But it was not listened to, because the council said they only wanted 4 districts to basically be heard and be considered. That's what the consultants said, and that's what they did. And that's the results. We needed 5 because of population, demographics, said so. Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Diane Schrader, followed by Sheila Cada.
Good evening, council members. Diane Schrader. I'm from the east side. I, too, think that we had an elected mayor, and he won by a great margin over all the other candidates. That indicates to you how valuable this city considers the mayor position. I, too, would like to see an election. I don't care whether it's June or November, but I think that we, the people, get that? We, the people, should have a say in who our next mayor, temporary or otherwise, should be. I heard, we're already starting to politic, have you noticed? And I love that Esther Sanchez has been deputy mayor before, and if that's a qualification, then she should certainly be up there. I got something about council member Lowry, because he's been deputy mayor, that he should be in that position and appointed. Stop it. Give us our election. We'll decide who is best qualified to be mayor of this city. And I hope that we stop the politics in the meantime and we just do what's best for Oceanside and its residents. Thank you.
Sheila Cada, 1092 Greenway Road. I am for having an election because I think everybody should be able to voice their opinion. I would like to have it in June, and I would like to have a lot of debate be organized so that whoever's running for mayor, that they could have a few debates so people could come and see and then pick who they would like as mayor. And I don't know how to organize it, but I'd like to have, in this whole thing, elect somebody else for city council too. And so we fill everything up, but I think people should have their voices heard and people should determine who they want. That's why. And I think you all do a pretty good job, but I'm for voting on somebody. Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Victor Roy, followed by Dana Corso.
Good evening, council. Thanks for the opportunity. God bless Mayor Jim Wood. I'm really sad for his departure, and I hope he's doing a lot better. Victor Roy, I live in Rancho San Luis right here in Oceanside. I'm a possible city council candidate for District 2 in the coming election this November. I move for an election of our next mayor. Let the citizens of Oceanside vote for their next mayor. Let democracy work as it should to provide fairness to everyone with an election. Oceanside voters elected Mayor Jim Wood overwhelmingly in successive elections. Who will the Oceanside voters elect next to lead and serve our beautiful city as mayor? I move for a mayoral election as soon as possible. Be it June, be it November, let there be an election.
Good evening, council and staff. Happy New Year. Thank you. My name is Dana Corso, and I live in Jeffries Ranch, and I'm the president of ACTION, which stands for the Alliance of Citizens to Improve Oceanside Neighborhoods, representing 42 neighborhoods. On behalf of ACTION, I would first like to say thank you to Mayor Wood for all of his dedicated years of service to this community, and to thank Pam and Debbie and the family for their dedication and devotion as well. We wish Mayor Wood a full recovery and all the best. As long as I've known him, he has always been a man of his word, and at the end of the day, that's all we have is integrity. So tonight we are here so that we can potentially, 3 council members can choose to appoint someone or call for an election. I have to say that I was quite taken back by a campaign mailer that was circulated by Mr. Lowry, or Deputy Mayor Lowry. My first impression with the pot leaves and the propaganda. All right, let's see. So the people can see misleading propaganda. My first impression with the pot leaves and the logo of the city on the second page appears as though the city has endorsed Oceanside for a safer community. So how does Oceanside and pot make a safer community? With all due respect to the supporters of marijuana, I have friends, colleagues, and family that have used marijuana for medicinal purposes. But on the other hand, we have a major epidemic in our state and this country with opioids and drug overdoses. My nephew, who was 23 years old, passed away on April 24th, 2016 of a drug overdose. He told all of us in rehab, at the rehab, that he started using with marijuana. Yes, the voters decided, and now we need to figure out how to regulate pot so we can potentially prevent drug users and drug abusers. We certainly do not need to promote pot in the city of Oceanside. This mailer is disgusting and speaks volumes about your agenda, Mr. Lowry, and I think we all know why you don't want to run an election and wish to be appointed. If you wish to talk about a safer Oceanside, let's talk about the Lilac Fire. You got the pictures? Okay. Which, by the way, I'd like to a big shout out to the firefighters, the police, and CERT members.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to keep it short. I'll wrap it up here real quick. Mr. Lowry, you promised in 2014 you would do whatever you could to reopen Jeffries Ranch Road for safety purposes. That never happened, nor did you make even an attempt.
Of course,
as a matter of fact, okay. Well, the bottom line is that I think that this city deserves an election. We need people that we can trust, people that have integrity, like Mayor Wood. Thank you.
Over the top.
Our next two speakers are Sylvia and Cindy Rocco.
Hi, my family and I, my husband and I have been residents of the city of Oceanside for over 33 years, and we have been we have elected you many times over, I suppose. What I want to say today is that you were elected, and I think that's the right thing to do and the right thing to do instead of appointing somebody and then, like you said, the one person loses a seat and then you have the other person that takes over. When you're thinking too much and you're overthinking, that means that you're probably going to the incestuous part and you're patting each other on the back. So I believe the right thing to do is just let the voters decide. The voters voted for you. The voters deserve that. They're entitled to that. They deserve that. They're taxpayers, and they pay your salaries. You do the will of the people. That's what you were elected to do. And so therefore, I suggest that given the long period of time, this is not a month, 2 months, 3 months that you will be filling the position in. This is to 2010, which means that it definitely is worth the cost when you have so many years of to be almost a full election. So therefore, I believe that the money will be well spent.
Hi, my name is Cindy Rocco. I moved for a June election. I strongly believe the people deserve a council that best represents them. And right now, I'd like to formally announce my candidacy to be the next mayor of Oceanside. And I thank Mayor Wood for being such a great model. Some of my top goals are to protect and enhance our natural resources and capital assets. I'm seriously to be focused on job efficiency. We need more jobs, 41% versus more housing. I want to spearhead homelessness and focus on safety. And right now there's an Oceanside for a safer community, and I fail to see how pot makes us a safer community. When we see 10 murders in 2017 and the fires, I see that a safer community results from putting the necessary tools in the hands of the police and the fire department. And most importantly, I want to protect our neighborhoods in the sense of not taking away parking, adding parks, because with all the development impacts, the neighborhoods are suffering. And pretty soon, it's going to become a quality of life issue. It's time to change the face of ideas of career politicians. I will be competing against huge political troves, but I'm passionate to change the status quo and politics as usual. Please call me, get to know me, then support me, and elect me. Please vote for me, Cindy Rocco, to be the People's Mayor of Oceanside. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Cindy Simmons.
Good evening, Council. My name is Cindy Simmons. I live at 451 Wilshire Road. We were actually part of the area that was impacted by the lilac fire, forced to evacuate twice. However, I do have issues with some of the members of our council. However, let's face it, people, every single one of you have been elected by the voters of Oceanside. So I'll probably get booed, but Chuck Lowry, who was appointed by the former mayor, Jim Wood, has been doing the job as a deputy mayor. Let him do the job, since the now mayor position is vacant, to become the mayor, since that's what he's been doing. So if you're going to have an election, then I would go for November. But let's face it, you all have been elected already by the by the voters here in Oceanside. So let's just get the job done and actually start doing the job. That's all I have to say. And again, thank you.
No further public on this item.
Okay. No further public.
Oh, I'll go first. I mean, I appreciate everybody coming out, giving their input. This is the first night. We do have two timelines that we have to maybe adhere to, according to the city attorney, as far as appointment or election. We haven't had an opportunity to talk to each other because of the Brown Act. I personally, to save money, in favor of an appointment. You know, whether we can come to some conclusion of that, I do not know. Like I've told the press several times, you do not get this job without an ego. It comes with the DNA to actually run for elected office. So you have probably 4 people up here who feel they should be mayor. It would be very difficult to get 3 votes for one person, but I think we should at least attempt to go through the process. We don't need to make a decision tonight, but we can actually go through this. I think the city manager said this is agendized for the next council meeting too, so we can revisit it at that time and figure out what we're going to do. I'm a real fiscal conservative. The idea of spending $100,000 or $200,000 for an election, I think it's better spent for services. So the idea that we will come and make that decision here in the next, we have to make that decision by February 7th. So anyway, that's kind of my opinion. I don't know. I'll listen to my colleagues and maybe we'll see where we're going to go from there. But I think I do appreciate everybody's comments and I really understand them. I mean, I really do appreciate what you said. I just stating what my opinion is now, and it's just one opinion of 4 people up here. Thank you.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Thank you. I first want to start off as well honoring Mayor Jim Wood, who not only served as a council member and then a mayor, but also served before that 31 years as an Oceanside police officer. So altogether, Mayor Jim Wood has served the city for 46 years. Thank you, Jim. In all the history of the city, I believe that Jim was the most popular. He took the office of mayor and made it personal. And I know it was a huge, very difficult decision for him to have stepped down. He asked us to consider 2 people. He did suggest to us that we at least try to come up with an appointment. Jim and I worked together the entire time since getting elected. In fact, we worked together to get him elected in the first place. He came very strongly, recommended by Melba Bishop, who also worked very, very hard for the city of Oceanside. Mayor Jim Wood recommended Zach Beck, and I like Zach Beck. I admire Zach Beck very, very much. He is probably the only person that I would consider appointing to the position because I believe that he does care about the entire city and not just parts of it, and he does care about our neighborhoods. But this, I hear you. I've had a lot of conversations with people that this is a very, very important. This is the leadership of the city, the third largest in the county. So, if there is not acceptance of at least, if we do not appoint Zach, then I agree we ought to have an election. This is such a critical position, especially now that with the changes on Sandag. So, thank you very much for coming, and hopefully we'll resolve this in the best interests of the city. Thank you.
Councilmember Feller.
Thank you. I just would like to say that we've had some emails for appointment, some for election, and probably even some that said burn down the house. But we're faced with something that's happened before, except it hasn't happened for the mayor's position. So this is a long term to decide. I think we need more than tonight to decide it. I think if we can go forward for, we have at least 4 weeks we can mull it over. If I haven't heard from a lot of people that said they want to run for mayor, want to be appointed for mayor. So I think if we could ask in some sort of press release or something that the city could do is, just applications to come into the city clerk's office to possibly be appointed, not necessarily meaning that we would have, give them like a 2-week time frame and have, or what's our next meeting? Is it 2 weeks?
Yes.
So that we could have opportunity to be introduced to some people that may or may not want to do the job. But I think that, I'm not willing to do anything tonight other than to entertain what we've heard from the audience, as well as what may come to us in email or application type. There's got to be a way to find out if there is somebody interested that is worthy to be appointed. It's not fair to not try the appointment, so if we can, to save the money, but it would have to be something that we're the 4 of us would agree to. So that's all I have for tonight.
Okay. Seeing no further comments, we have no motion on the floor. Nothing to do but wait for the clock to run.
Well, I think if we could do some sort of release through the city itself, and see if we could come up with some sort of wording to say if you have interest, if there's more suggestions as to whether to have an election besides the 14 or so that said they wanted that tonight. I would like to hear from more people about whether to have an election or not. It wasn't overwhelming that we appoint, but it's also we've received a lot of emails that set a point. So at this point, I don't know if you need a motion for something like that, Kim.
Well, let me just interject here. I'm not entirely sure what you'd like to see happen between now and July 24th. One thing we definitely can do is put the exact same item that we just had on the agenda on the 24th. We'll take out the stuff about a potential appointment on today's date, January. I'm sorry, I misspoke. But we could put these, otherwise the same item that we just had on the agenda the 24th. I'm a little unclear what you're expecting of the city clerk or our staff between now and then.
I'm just expecting to have some way for people to understand this is the process we're going through, because everybody wants to know out on the street, but nobody's saying their opinions on how it should go, except for the few we've received.
So when we had the vacancy in the office of the city treasurer, which is our most recent example, we actually set up, I believe, an application. And so we could follow that same path if you'd like, and then present those to you on the 24th, and then get your direction then. Is that something that you'd like to see happen?
If we could, is that the 24th? So they'd have to do it relatively quickly.
Right, we're under a pretty constrained time period, especially if you want to get this on the June ballot. We basically only have 2 more meetings.
Right.
So if you want it to go to November, if you're unable, then we'd have a little bit more time. But basically, it'll only be 1 more meeting, frankly. So the whole process is pretty constrained. So if you want to solicit input from the public about interested candidates, I'm not sure I see any other way to do it than to have a similar application process that we had for the treasurer's office, and we could present those to you in open session on the 24th.
Yes, I think if that's okay, we could, you have 7 days to, 7 days to accomplish 10 days by Friday of next week?
I think the clerk and I could probably put something together and make it available on the city's website if that's the direction of a majority of the council.
And I would also like to see not just applications, but if they actually want the election as well, input. So if the clerk could take that information.
Mr. Clerk?
One aspect we do have on the city's website is the agenda item position slip, where members of the public can comment on particular items in favor or opposed. So if this item's on the agenda of the next council meeting, then members of the public could comment on that portal and express that they prefer an election.
So how are they made aware
of the agenda item position slip?
This is happening?
I think probably the best way to make the public aware would be through a press release to be able to inform them that they can go onto the city's website and utilize that platform.
And we could make it available front and center on the city's website, make it clear that we're interested in soliciting input from the public, have a link to your email, and then a link to an application.
Yeah. Thank you.
But again, we're going to be under a very short time period,
So I would imagine we could have the information by the 10th. No, I'm sorry. The next meeting is the 24th.
Yeah.
The Friday before, 10 days from now?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. I kind of like this open discussion. So I'm just going to ask, so on the 24th, we would conduct interviews for mayor.
I think maybe they, I guess.
Well, because of time constraints, basically, so if in the next 2 weeks, we ask for applications. We have an interview process, just like the treasurer, on the 24th.
And they can come down
and anybody that wants to be mayor can apply. So council members who wish to be a mayor have to put in an application. So we can hear that. It will not be me. The idea that, and then we have an interview process, and at the end of the conclusion of that night, if we can't come to some decision, then our decision's made. That we can't.
Then we don't need the interview process. What we need is the information. If there is somebody interested, I would sure like to know about it. So if it's a press release, that's all we need.
Well,
and then the press release.
But at what point in time would you make a decision? Would that be
You
the
might
7th?
make it on the 24th.
Well, if we're going to do that process, whoever applies needs to stand at that dais and tell the people why they feel they should be mayor. Just like Dr. Trickey did when he got up there and gave his resume and talked about why he should be treasurer. And Rafe, correct me, there was like 6 or 7, 8 people? I mean, there was quite a few. 12. Okay, 12 people. So I think if we're going to do this, an appointment, it's going to be as open as possible so people know who that would be. And if we can't come to some conclusion on that night, or at least say, okay, we're going to take it, we got everybody's information, we heard everybody's interviews, then on February 7th, somebody makes the motion and see if there's support for any of those candidates, and then if we can't make that...
I think you can say, if in the press release, if you are interested in the appointment, come down and make your case in 2 minutes on the 24th.
Yeah.
And if you're not interested, if we don't have anybody, then it's certainly going to go to an election.
Well, I think we'll have somebody. I'm sorry that we're going through this, but because of the Brown Act, we haven't had a chance to talk about this upstairs. So this is part of that transparent, open discussion. Actually get a chance to ask our colleagues what are you thinking on this process is. It is an unusual process because of the mayor's resignation. So I just wanted to make sure that the public understands what we're going through and how to do this as open as possible.
Well, we don't have to make any decision on the 24th.
Okay, but do you want to do interviews on the 24th?
I don't want to do interviews. If they want to do their... I don't think... I think I'm not coming across clearly. I just want to know whether they want to appoint or not. And if they are interested, we can call them individually.
Esther, don't wait to jump, for a call. Go ahead and jump in anytime you're ready. I mean, I just want an open discussion.
No, what I'm hearing Councilmember Feller say is that he'd like something in the nature of a survey to see whether the public, the voters of Oceanside, would like to see an election or an appointment, and if anybody's interested in being considered, that they should attend the meeting on the 24th.
It's really as simple as that.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing you say. So no interviews. I don't think we've ever done interviews during a council meeting. That would be pretty interesting, and a long meeting too. But
well, it doesn't mean we can't have a special meeting in between.
But that's not what I'm hearing you say. What I'm hearing you say is that you would like to.
It's probably going to be an election.
To come.
But I don't think I'm ready to say I think this is the right person tonight.
Yeah.
So, Clerk, you're absolutely through what's going on here?
Yes, I'm taking copious notes. As far as the one clarification I want to make sure is that this, as I understand it currently, this is going to be different than the process we utilize for appointing the treasurer. This is more of an informal process where members of the public are invited.
And informational in terms of getting the nature of a survey, asking the public whether they would like to see an election for almost 3 years left on the term for mayor.
Okay, I know it's confusing because I'm confused about where we're going on this one, but I think we'll go forward. We have 2 more opportunities. The 7th is basically, and I don't want to use this inappropriately, but the drop dead date for the June election is the 7th. If we don't make any decision and we push it past that time, according to the city attorney, we have until the 28th of February, and that is the absolute drop dead date and the election will be in November. Have I got that correct?
Correct. The only thing I would add in is, I think somebody mentioned before, you could call a special meeting if you wanted some additional opportunities to debate this. So.
But we have to make some decision before the 7th if we want to make it by June.
Yes, your deadlines are the 7th for June, the 28th for November, basically.
Fine. Like I said, this is democracy is a messy process. So I think it's going to be a little bit messy here for the next couple of months, but we'll get through it. And so my personal opinion, if you're interested in being mayor, I would send your resumes to the council members and let them kind of vet it themselves, and then we'll figure out where we're going from there, whether we have an election or an appointment. So, thank you. I probably didn't add anything to clarity here, but at least we got it out in the open.
So I have a question for the city attorney about the regulations that you went over for a minute and a half, and those are in place regulations. That's not something that the council made up this morning or something like that.
This is state law.
It's the government. What our options are.
Correct. It's the government code section 34902.
And what does that say we have as far as our options?
So again, it says, quote, in the case of a vacancy in the office of the mayor for any reason, the council shall fill the vacancy by appointment. If the council fails to fill it within 60 days, it shall call an election to fill the vacancy to be held on the next established election date to be held not less than 114 days thereafter. A person appointed or elected to fill a vacancy shall hold office for the unexpired term of the former incumbent. That's for the mayor. I referenced another section dealing with the appointment of a council member vacancy, which is different. This is for the mayor's process.
Okay. Thank you.
Staff, we all have clear direction? Okay.
Oh, staff will figure it out? Okay. So if we don't decide at the next meeting, then the election will go to November.
No. That's incorrect. The February 7th meeting.
If we decide on the February 7th meeting, the election can be in June?
If you decide on the January 24th council meeting to not appoint and you wish to go to an election, then it would be consolidated with the June 5th primary. But you have until February.
We could adopt those resolutions calling the election on February 7th. That's the last date you could do it.
Yes.
We could call an election on February 7th for November. We can do it for either date.
No, you'd have to do it for June. If you do it on February 7th, it has to be for June. If you go past that date on February 28th and you call an election, it has to be in November.
So I would suggest, if we get to February 7th, the city attorney has the resolution drafted for the June ballot, but we don't have to. The idea that if we say, okay, we're close, we may get an appointment, we can kick it back to 7th, but by the 28th, we'll have to make a decision.
Okay. We can have those resolutions at each of your meetings so that you can make the decision if you want to do that. You'll have the option.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Next item. 21.
Item number 21 is a request by Deputy Mayor Lowry and Councilmember Kern to make recommendations to regional boards and commissions and City Harbors CDC Advisory Group liaison positions.
So, are you going to present?
I just want to point out that what we're doing now is what we couldn't do during the time the mayor was the mayor. Until he resigned or retired, we could not appoint anybody to do anything because that's the law. The mayor makes the appointments, the council approves the appointments. So what we're doing this evening is going to be going through the recommendations for regional boards and commissions and the other commissions that the city council has to staff liaison with.
Okay. So, is there any public on this?
There are no public speakers for this particular item.
Councilmember Kern, you're the first speaker.
Well, I just want to make a motion. Everybody, all the council members have the list that was put out. I'm just going to make a motion for adoption and see if we get a second, see if we vote on it.
I'll second that. Second.
So, any other lights?
No lights.
Let's vote.
Let's vote.
Motion approved, 4-0.
Okay, item number 22.
Yes, City Attorney.
Thank you. Item 22 is the adoption of an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Oceanside amending Chapter 29 of the Oceanside City Code by the amendment of Sections 29.116, 29.122, 29.124, 29.125, and 29.126 pertaining to the regulation of commercial kitchen grease disposal.
No public.
Councilmember Sanchez.
Move adoption.
Second.
Please vote.
Motion approved, 4-0.
Item number 19.
Yes, item number 19, we have 9 speakers on this item.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. So I'm going to call you 2 at a time. First we have Nancy Sublette, followed by Michael Kovas.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Sublette. I live at 1520 Gold Rush Way in Oceanside. I'm the co-chairperson of the Oceanside League of Women Voters Unit. And hearing your discussion about how to vet these candidates, if there's anything that the League can do to help you all, we have a lot of experience in this area. Oh, thank you. On the League, a lot of members of the League have been doing investigation into the homeless situation here in San Diego. And on January 27th, we're sponsoring the showing of a film called Tony the Movie, which was filmed here in San Diego about the homeless situation. And the director and the gentleman who is homeless, Tony Rodriguez, will be at the showing and available for questions. We've collected a lot of information that as everyone in the city and county has, and we're going to share some of that about the statistics of homelessness in Oceanside. And we invite all of you and members of the public. We're going to start, the doors will open at 12:45, and the room only seats 160, so if you're interested, please come early. Thank you very much. I may come back on the 24th to make this announcement, and so forgive me for being redundant, but I'll arrive early and hopefully be able to speak very briefly before the rest of your meeting. Thank you.
Is there a website that has that listed on it that we could actually look at?
The League of, yes, Tony the Movie has its own website and has a trailer, and the League of Women Voters website, which you can find, will have the same trailer.
It has details for the location. I guess it's going to be in the community rooms down here?
It is, at the library.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you for
And what was
asking.
the date again?
January 27th is Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you.
And what
Thank
time
you.
was it?
1 o'clock.
Okay.
But you get there at 12:45, so should I reserve a seat for you? I'd be happy to do that.
No.
Okay.
But I'm going to put it on my calendar.
Okay, good.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll be there.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, council members, thank you for the time. Clearly you have a lot on your plate. A couple thoughts here. We are in a bit of a transition area. New year, clearly changes in this office, this building. One of the things that is going on in our neck of the woods, as you're all aware about, I'm not going to go into that, but there was a time when the Fallbrook, South Morrow Hills, Bonneville area was thought of as the bit of an avocado capital. We had citrus out there, we had lots of stuff growing, it's great. But times have changed, a lot of different things, water prices, NAFTA, a bunch of stuff, so we're changing, and that does happen. I currently have a vineyard growing. I did some research naturally before I dropped them in the ground. I'm right across the street from Beach House Winery. I think some of you are aware of that, might have visited there. Had the ground tested, and it was for amendments, 0 amendments. We have quality soil in that area, and so it's. I've attended every public scoping meeting, all the agritourism council workshops that you've provided, and this is where I've ended up. And just to share with you, I talk with people every week, people who may be voting for one of you, and they are confused. They don't know what's going on, and the instructions given by the city attorney tonight and what's going on now gives me nothing more to let them know what's going on in this office. A lot of them were unaware that Mayor Wood was gone. They heard he was back, and now he's gone. So I just want you to give further thought when this comes down the line, when we have further discussions about it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our next two speakers are Cliff Ireland and Randall Vanderwright.
Can you guys hear me? I'm pretty tall. I might need to raise the mic. Good evening, Deputy Mayor, City Council, City Attorney, City Treasurer, City Clerk, City Staff. Give me a lot. 127 Cherry Lane. City Manager, my mistake. My name is Cliff Ireland, and I am a San Marcos resident. I'm here for a couple of reasons today. The first is yesterday was National Law Enforcement Day, so I want to make sure we give a little kudos to our law enforcement. They do a great job, and I really appreciate them, even though I don't act like it. Second thing, I also want to give a shout out to Miss Deb, who sat over there for many years reading proclamations and blah, blah, blah. She did a great job for Mayor Wood. She did a great job for the city, and I really appreciate that. And as far as I know, today was her last day too, and I wish I, could have seen her today. She wasn't here. The biggest reason why I'm here today is actually North County Veterans Stand Down. It's pretty basic. I've been going around for the last couple weeks speaking to different organizations, groups, about homeless veterans. North County Stand Down, it is what it says up there. It's a 4-day veteran stand down that takes place in Vista, California, or Vista. And we are looking for volunteers to sponsor, find homeless veterans, bring them there, help us get them off the streets, help us get them services that they might not normally know they can get. They're too lazy to get. I hate to say it. Or they don't know how to get. Let's just be honest, homeless is a crappy subject to talk about. It's there, we want to hide, we want to run, everybody says something different about it, but these are veterans. Homeless are important, but these are veterans. They signed their name on a dotted line when most of us in this room didn't. They gave up something, they gave up their life, even though they're still alive, but they could have given up their life for something, and we're just asking for a little help in return. So, thank you.
Good evening, I'm back. My name is Randall Vanderwright. I live at 331 Blue Springs Lane here in Oceanside, beautiful city. And I'd like to start out by asking you all a question. Does anybody here, show your hands, think that we are not going to have another drought? We are not going to have another drought? Show your hands. So I have one person who says we're not going to have another drought. Okay, if we are going to have another drought, please raise your hands. Okay? All right, the fiscal conservatives don't think we have another drought coming. Anyway, I'd like to point out when I was in grade school, living in San Francisco or the Bay Area, I was acutely aware of the water shortage here in Southern California. Now, I find that this fountain that we have out here to be a monument to arrogance. To think that you in Southern California are never going to have water issues. And then in the face of a drought, double down and revamp the whole thing to do it all over again seems to me to be a little bit detached from reality. I'm going to put this here on the table. There you go. That's Zadar, Croatia. And that is my solution to your problem with this fountain out here. Something that would not only contribute to the community long term, make it a destination, something to see. Now, if you go to Zadar, Croatia, you'll find a disc there. I'm going to go over time, so don't worry about the light. You're going to find a disc there, and it's about 20 meters in diameter. And what it is solar panels. And what it does is during the day, it sucks up all this energy, and it's got a meter there showing you how much energy it soaks up. And at night, it turns into a light show. And it's marvelous. You can dance on it, run across it, walk across it, do whatever you want on it, and it reacts to the people that are on the disc. A fabulous thing.
Thank you.
This would be so much more efficient and so much more...
Can you make the light blink?
I'm sorry?
Mr. Van Wright, your time is actually up.
Yeah, I understand that, and I told you I was going to go over.
I know that.
And other people went over.
Yeah.
So, I'll wrap it up. Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time. Please, I'll be happy to talk to anybody about this. That's the name of the town. Just put it on your Google search. Solar lights, Zatar or solar lights, and it'll come up, Zatar, Croatia. And look at that for future projects. These things do take time to plan. That's why I'm bringing it up now.
We got the name.
Okay. Again, I went over. I'm sorry. Thank you folks very much for your time. I'll come back next week and take another 3 minutes.
That'll be fine.
Our next two speakers are Aaron Mooring and Jeremy Hutman.
Beautiful. Hi, I'm Erin Warren. I live at 1241 Chambord Court, and I also run a avocado business out in Southmore Hills. I am bringing you this attention because our neighborhood was literally affected by the wildfires. It was literally 2 miles away, and one of my neighbors' horse barns burned up in the fire. And I would like to thank the county for doing everything that they did. I think their plan was executed very well. We had the military. I want to thank them. I want to thank the fire departments that came together and combated this and to evacuate us safely. Our police department, our volunteers that were there to help us through the night when we needed shelter. The thing is that Integral decided to plan a meeting right after the fires, and this is a good thing because Integral got an earful that night from the planning to everything, because Southmore Hills needs an evacuation plan. They do. Seriously. And not only that, this should be a wake-up call for us as a community and as a city, because fires are going to be an everyday routine every year. And if Bonneville goes up, Fallbrook goes up, Vandergrift becomes a 2-hour block. 2.5 hours? 3.5-hour block that night. So we got a traffic problem. We need to really seriously look at a plan. We got to work with the county on how to evacuate to make it much smarter evacuation times, like earlier, when the wind's blowing and the fire's going. We should be like checking out quick.
Thanks, Aaron.
And so, anyways, I just wanted to let you know. Thanks.
Thank you.
Good evening, Honorable Deputy Mayor, City Council members. My name is Jeremy Hutman. I'm with the California First Property Assessed Clean Energy, or PACE financing program. I'm here actually to bring some good news for you tonight and share some updates on the PACE program. We provide financing for your homeowners and business owners to improve their properties to install energy and water saving measures. You all joined the California First program actually back in 2010. We launched in 2014, and since that time, we've helped over 100 property owners install over $2.5 million worth of upgrades. They're going to help them save money on your utility bills, make their homes healthier and more comfortable. There have been two pieces of PACE legislation that just passed in 2017 that just went into effect, and I wanted to share information on them with you today. One is SB 242 and the other is AB 1284. SB 242 expands consumer protections, so it's making what's already the most popular and successful energy financing program in the history of the state even better. Your property owners, now before they sign up for PACE, we're required to have a recorded phone call with them to go over all of the terms of the financing that they're doing, so they really understand the financing and they make sure that it's the right financing program for them to improve their properties. And the next is AB 1284, which creates regulation under the Department of Business Oversight, which is the state regulator that oversees all lending in the state, all banks, all credit unions, mortgage lenders. They now oversee PACE financing as well. So this really great program that's helped over 150,000 property owners in the state has now gotten better and has more oversight and more consumer protections that are going to benefit your constituents. Thank you very much. If you all have any ongoing questions about PACE or the California First program, I am available to answer those questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So these handouts, just the handout, have the city has your contact.
They don't. I'll share it with the staff that I've been working with.
That's great. Thank you.
Our next few speakers are Katie Popiniak, followed by Kelly McCormick.
Down from the 6'7" guy here. Good evening, and thank you for listening. We're sorry to be the end here. My career in this city has been helping high-risk youth, and I've had many great agencies to work with, such as Interfaith. I've worked in all the schools. A lot of these youth have been in foster care because their parents have had a drug or alcohol issue, and I have worked the other side with adults in sober living programs. These are vulnerable people, and I believe from these experiences that marijuana should not be used by them, and especially by people with mental health issues. It's a scary combination. Pot is especially very strong these days. The THC levels are much stronger than they used to be, and I believe it could be more of a cause to psychosis than a cure or a medicine. I sat here during the elaborate PowerPoint presentation and read the ad hoc committee report about the State of California Track and Trace program. And I just want to let you know, if you don't know, it was from seed to storefront. That program is so far not up and running. And this is a lot of the problem with a lot of what's happening with regulations with marijuana in our state. Right now, the program's not in place. There's no software being used. And so the people in the storefronts are having to use pen and pencil, being asked to document pot sales manually using paper invoices and shipping manifests. The fear here is that, again, we're going to have illicit or unsafe marijuana products out there, and that's frightening to me. California's taking a very long time to figure out their processes, and I just wonder why Oceanside's in such a hurry and who's pushing you to be in a hurry. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Kelly McCormick, and I'm also going to be speaking about marijuana regulations, and I'm going to be using the words of other people tonight. And one of the things you talk about is putting the focus here on medicinal marijuana, but that's a really big umbrella that is often misused. These words are not mine. They come from an article in Rolling Stone, which is certainly no conservative publication. This is by Amanda Lewis, and she's writing about getting medical marijuana, and she says, potheads and sick folks alike could plunk down as little as $30 in exchange for a 5-minute meeting with a dubiously accredited physician who gives you a quick once-over before reflexively signing a document attesting to your medical need for marijuana. Parentheses, shout out to the consummate professional who reviewed my paperwork last year and saw that I had listed menstrual cramps as my reason for wanting cannabis. Okay, and moving on. Prop 54, as we've mentioned many times before, was a vote for decriminalization. That's not the same as a vote for commercialization. And from former Representative Patrick Kennedy, Democrat from Rhode Island, he wrote in The Hill that no one wants to arrest and imprison seriously ill people. Everyone is in favor of responsible research to find new medicines that will help those who are suffering. But let's also be honest about what's really happening. Companies that are selling high-potency marijuana gummy bears and lollipops are not interested in medicine. They're interested in marketing kid-friendly products to hook the next generation of lifelong customers. Studies demonstrate a clear link between a higher prevalence of marijuana use among youth and density of registered marijuana growers and adult users. Youth are more likely to try new methods of marijuana use, such as edibles or vaping. Pot shops are also linked to higher levels of property crime in nearby areas. These shops also tend to locate in disadvantaged minority neighborhoods where residents are less likely to be able to fight back. Thank you.
Our final speaker is Bob Knoltia.
Hello, Council. My name is Bob Nutella. And, Nutella. Like the spread. There's a K in front of it.
The K is
a little bit
difficult. There's a K in your name.
There's a K in front. So I'm speaking about the December 20th vote for pro-cannabis. And there are a couple issues that were brought up that I first of all, I do have a legal permit here in Oceanside. I'm one of the few. However, I do not operate in Oceanside because I cannot logistically make it work legally because I have to go to the dispensary, deliver back to the dispensary and back. But hopefully we'll resolve that. But I wanted to talk about the security issue and the teen issue. I think with today's regulations, and I'm very disappointed with the lines at the dispensaries and things of that nature. That's not where medical cannabis is supposed to go. There are definitely other options. The kids now paying a 27% tax, it's really going to drive them to the black market, unfortunately. And that's where we really need to be safe. The seniors are the ones that are going to be suffering the most. With the 22% tax, I have a patient base. I have a legal business in Rancho Mirage that I operate. My average age patient is 70, right? They do everything sublingually. None of them smoke unless they're a cancer patient. So there are ways to do it. Now, one of the things that was brought up was, how can you tell if they have a recommendation from a real physician? The recommendation from the state, they have a document that a physician can sign that can go along with the recommendation that will provide additional benefit or additional patient marking, I guess, anyway. But anyway, the Type 9 license that the state has put out, which is a dispensary, no storefront, provides safety and security, and you can have, I would think, because they have it in Desert Hot Springs, in the space they have a camera right to the police station. So there's ways to get security, and there's ways to have a non-storefront dispensary delivery to seniors, medical only, and that's what I would come up with. Thank you.
But keep those, you sent us an email this week also, correct? Yeah, so we do get those. Thank you. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Lowry, there's no more public on this item, and prior to adjournment, I would want to make a formal request. Earlier this week, former Councilmember Sherry Mackin's husband, Brooks Mackin, passed away And I just want to ask if we could have a moment of silence for him before we adjourn.
Right.
Thank you.
Want to do that right now?
That would be great. If you could all please stand for a moment of silence for Brooks Mackin. Thank you so much.
Yes. We're at council comments. I forgot.
I just want to say, add on, because I was going to bring that up. Sherry Mackin is the former councilman for the city of Oceanside. I feel fortunate to have gotten the call and to be able to have gone over to her home on the night that it happened. Brooks Mackin was a wonderful person, a very loving husband, very loving dad. The family is together. They I'm sure are going to need our friendship, our love, our good thoughts and prayers. So the Mackins have lived in Oceanside for many years. You all know where she lives. She's a very proud South O resident. And of course, as I said, she was a council member, longtime teacher, Oceanside Unified School District. So our hearts go out to the Mackin family. Thank you.
So we are adjourning the meeting to Wednesday, 2 weeks from today. January 24th at 3:30 is the closed session meeting, and at 5 p.m. is the start of the real heavy-duty stuff. So we will see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.